Take a deep breath with me. Yes, right here, right now. Let the noise of the world quiet down, just for a few moments. Because what we're about to step into is more than wisdom. It's soul food. It's healing. It's truth spoken by a woman who lived through storms and still chose to shine. Her name, Maya Angelou, poet, activist, survivor, visionary, but more than all of that, she was a voice, one that still speaks to our hearts long after her body has left this earth. Her words were like music for broken places, not just spoken, but felt. They had rhythm. They had courage. They had the kind of weight that gently rearranges you on the inside, like hands shaping soft clay. Maya didn't come from easy. She didn't rise because the world made room. She rose in spite of it. She rose through racism, abuse, silence, and suffering, and turned her pain into poetry, her story into strength. She taught us that no matter what has tried to bury us, we're still seeds. And we can grow. Maybe that's why her voice still feels alive, like sunlight breaking through the thickest clouds. Steady, unshakable, tender, but unyielding. You see, Maya Angelou wasn't just a writer or performer. She was a mirror. When you listen to her, you see your potential reflected back at you, clearer, deeper, and more sacred than you imagined. She didn't tell you what to think. She invited you to feel, to awaken something ancient inside you, something brave. And so today, I want to invite you on a journey. Not through biography or history, but through 10 life lessons. 10 seeds of truth that Maya left behind for us, to water, plant, and live. These are not just quotes to admire. They are truths to practice. Words that, if you let them, will rearrange the furniture of your soul. They will challenge you. They will comfort you. And more than anything, they will remind you who you are. Because that's what Maya always did. She reminded us that we are worthy. That we are powerful. That we are already enough and still growing. So, whether you're in a valley or on a mountaintop, whether you feel lost or full of purpose, these lessons are for you. Right now. In this moment. Let's walk gently into the heart of Maya Angelou's wisdom. Let's listen to the voice that still speaks. And let's let it change us. Are you ready? Let's begin. People will forget what you said. People will forget what you did. But people will never forget how you made them feel. Take a moment with that. Let it settle in. Because this is more than just a quote. It's a mirror. It asks us, what kind of energy do we leave behind in the rooms we walk through? What do people feel when they're around us? We live in a time where people chase the perfect words. The clever comeback. The curated post. We try so hard to say the right things, do the impressive things, be someone in the eyes of others. But Maya, she pulls us back to what really matters. To the feeling we leave behind. Think back to your own life. Try to remember someone who truly saw you, not for what you could do or say, but just for who you were. Someone who made you feel safe. Or valued, or even just gently noticed. In a world that often looks past people, do you remember their exact words? Probably not. Do you recall what they were wearing? Doubtful, but the feeling, that warmth, that comfort, that I matter moment, that stayed with you, didn't it? That's the part your soul bookmarked. That's the power of presence, of kindness, of real human connection. We often think of legacy as something we build: careers, achievements, milestones. But maybe our truest legacy is invisible. Maybe it lives in the way people feel when they remember us. A stranger holding the door with a smile. A teacher who believed in you when you didn't believe in yourself. A friend who sat beside you, in silence when words would have hurt more. Or even that one person who made you feel like you belonged, when the world made you feel like you didn't. These moments, small, quiet, yet sacred, live far longer than we realize. And here's what's beautiful. You have that same power. You don't need a stage. You don't need perfect words. You just need presence. Compassion. The willingness to slow down and see. People really see them. You can be someone's breath of fresh air. Someone's "I needed that today." Someone's reason to keep going. Maya's lesson reminds us, people forget the details, but they feel our spirit. They feel whether we loved them or judged them. Whether we listened or just waited for our turn to speak. Whether we uplifted or ignored, and you get to choose which one you'll be. So today, maybe the invitation is simple. Be intentional with how you show up in people's lives, even the strangers, especially the ones who can't repay you. Let someone walk away from you, lighter, not heavier, because in the end, we won't be remembered for every word we said. We'll be remembered for the love we gave. for the peace we carried, for the way we made someone feel seen, even for a moment. That's the kind of legacy no one can erase. And that is the kind of legacy Maya Angelou lived. There's a quiet kind of heartbreak that doesn't come from betrayal or loss. It comes from hoping someone is different than they are, and then getting hurt again. Not because they didn't show us the truth, but because we didn't want to see it. Maya Angelou, with her calm, commanding grace, gave us this priceless truth. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. The first time. Let's pause there. Not judge it, not resist it, just breathe it in. This isn't about bitterness. It's not about shutting down or becoming cold. It's about clarity. It's about protecting the most sacred parts of you. Your peace, your time, your heart. See, we all want to believe the best in people. And that's not wrong. It speaks to your softness, your hope, your love. But Maya is reminding us that wisdom has to walk with hope. Because when someone's actions don't match their words, when they show you their character in consistent patterns, believe that. Not their excuses. Not the fantasy in your mind. The reality in front of you. How often have we excused a red flag with, "They're just going through something, maybe I misunderstood, they didn't mean it." We repaint red flags white and then wonder why our heart keeps getting bruised. We keep drinking poison, praying it turns to sugar. But Maya's voice is like a gentle, loving hand on your shoulder saying, "Baby, it's not your job to change them. It's your job to believe them. Believe the way they show up. Believe how they make you feel. Consistently. Believe how they handle your heart when it's most vulnerable." Now, believing doesn't mean hating. It doesn't mean cutting people off in anger. It means accepting what is. And making choices from wisdom, not wishful thinking. This lesson is a boundary wrapped in compassion. It says, I can love you from afar. I can forgive you. But I won't keep handing you the same key to the same door you keep slamming in my face. And maybe the hardest part isn't believing who they are. It's grieving who we hoped they'd be. But even in that grief, there is freedom. Because once you stop trying to force someone to change, you make room for the kind of love that doesn't need fixing to feel safe. You give yourself permission to move on, to stop shrinking for people who refuse to grow, to stop pouring into someone who keeps poking holes in your cup. This isn't cold. This is clarity. This isn't harsh. This is healing. It's the kind of love Maya preached, not the kind that enables, but the kind that liberates. So here's the invitation. Watch how people treat you, how they handle your trust, how they respond when you're not useful to them. That's who they are. And believing that truth doesn't make you weak, it makes you wise. As Maya might say, believe them, and bless yourself with peace, because peace is something you never have to beg for. And neither is love that's real. I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise. When Maya Angelou wrote those words, she wasn't just speaking for herself. She was speaking for generations. For every voice that had been silenced, for every spirit that had been crushed, but refused to stay buried. She wasn't supposed to rise. Not from where she came from. Not with the pain she carried. Not with the trauma that marked her childhood like permanent ink. But she did. She rose through poverty. She rose through racism. She rose through assault in silence and shame. She rose with a voice that shook the world awake. And here's the truth that Maya gives to you. Hand to hand. Heart to heart. You can rise too. That's lesson 3. No matter what life has thrown your way, you are not finished. You are not broken beyond repair. You are not too late, too far gone, to anything. Because every single time you get up, every time you choose healing instead of bitterness, faith instead of fear, growth instead of giving up, you are rising. It doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't have to be perfect. Sometimes, rising is as quiet as getting out of bed when you're full of grief. Sometimes, it's speaking your truth even when your voice shakes. Sometimes, it's letting go of what's not meant for you, even when it hurts. Maya's words were never just poetry, they were permission. Permission to be bigger than your pain. To outgrow your past. To believe in your becoming. Let that truth settle in. You are allowed to rise. And you don't need anyone's approval to do it. Now, let's breathe into lesson 4, just as powerful, just as Maya said, be a rainbow in someone else's cloud. Read that again, not just with your eyes, but with your soul. The world has enough storm, enough judgment, enough cold shoulders, sharp words, and tired hearts. What it needs, what we need, is softness, kindness, color. You have no idea what someone is carrying, what they cried about last night, what they're hiding behind a forced smile. But your presence, your small kindness, can be the light that breaks through. The rainbow that says, hold on, you're not alone. You don't need money, or power, or a stage to be that rainbow. You just need to care. To notice, to offer a kind word when someone's sinking, to hold space, to listen, to smile from your heart. That's it. A rainbow isn't loud, but it stops people in their tracks. It says, beauty still exists. It says, the storm didn't win. And when you choose to be that beauty in someone's darkness, you remind them they can rise too. Because kindness is never wasted. It echoes, it multiplies. It heals in places you'll never see. So today, carry these 2 lessons like sacred seeds. Rise, even when it's hard. Shine, even when the sky is gray. Maya lived them. And now, so can you. From the time we're children, the world starts defining it for us. Straight A's, a fancy degree, a high-paying job, the house, the car, the applause. Success starts looking like something external, something we chase. Something that's always just a little bit out of reach. But Maya Angelou, she flipped that idea inside out. She said, success is liking yourself, liking what you do, and liking how you do it. Let that sink in, because in just 3 lines, she redefines success. In a way that feels true. Not just impressive, but honest. Success, in Maya's world, has nothing to do with how the world sees you, and everything to do with how you see yourself. Can you look in the mirror, not with ego, not with shame, but with peace? Can you sit with who you are, how you show up, and feel good about it? That's success. Do you like yourself? Not just love in theory, but genuinely like the person you've become. Do you like what you do, how you speak to people, how you carry your responsibilities, how you move through your life? If the answer is yes, then friend, you are already successful. Maya reminds us, you could have the titles, the followers, the bank account and still feel like a stranger to yourself. But when your outer life matches your inner truth, that's real wealth. Now here's the bridge to get there. Lesson 6. And it's a big one. Courage, Maya said, is the most important of all the virtues. Because without courage, you can't practice any other virtue consistently. Read that again. Slowly. You see, we talk a lot about being honest, kind, creative, generous. But all of those things, every single one, requires bravery. It takes courage to tell the truth when a lie would be easier. It takes courage to stand up for someone who's hurting. To try again after failure. To set a boundary. To say no when your soul is whispering that something isn't right. To walk your own path when everyone else is going another way. Courage is the root. It's the soil every other virtue grows from. And here's what's beautiful. Maya never said courage meant being fearless. She wasn't asking you to be unshakable. She was inviting you to feel the fear. And show up anyway. Because every dream you have, every idea, every piece of healing, every act of kindness you want to offer the world, is waiting for your courage. Your best life doesn't arrive at your door. It's built, one brave step at a time. So if you're tired of feeling like you're not successful enough, ask a deeper question. Do I like who I am becoming? Am I living with courage, even when it's quiet, unseen, or messy? If you can, answer yes, even in progress. Then Maya would say, you're doing just fine. Do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better. Isn't that freeing? You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to pretend to be perfect. You're allowed to be a work in progress, because we all are. This is lesson 7, and it reminds us that life is a journey, not a final exam. We all have chapters we'd rather forget, moments we wish we could rewrite, things we said or didn't say, things we did or didn't do. But Maya is gently placing her hand on our shoulder, saying, it's okay. You did what you knew how to do at the time. Now that you know better, choose better. There's no shame in that. That's growth. That's what wisdom looks like. So give yourself permission to evolve. Not from pressure, but from love. Because the goal isn't perfection, it's progress. It's learning, unlearning, and learning again. Now let's open our hearts to lesson 8. One of the most powerful things Maya ever said, love liberates. Let that settle in. Real love doesn't cage you. It doesn't control you. It doesn't manipulate you with guilt or fear. Real love says, I want you to be fully you, free, growing, becoming, whether it's a friendship, a marriage, a family relationship, or even how you love yourself. If it feels like you're shrinking, hiding, suffocating, that's not love. That's control. That's fear, wearing a mask. Love lifts. Love expands. Love Let's go when it needs to. Think of the people who truly loved you in your life. Weren't they the ones who gave you space to grow? Who didn't try to hold you back or clip your wings? That's the kind of love Maya is pointing us toward. A love that releases instead of restricts. And here's something beautiful. You're worthy of that kind of love. You're also capable of giving that kind of love to others and to yourself. Now let's move into Lesson 9, and it's a bold one. Ask for what you want. It sounds simple, but let's be honest, how often do we stay silent? How often do we bury our dreams, settle for less, or wait for someone to notice what we need without us saying a word? Why? Because we're afraid. Afraid of rejection. Afraid of being too much. Afraid of taking up space. But Maya's words are a wake-up call. Closed mouths don't get fed. And fear does not honor your gift. If you want something, a raise, an opportunity, respect, freedom, love, ask for it. Speak with clarity. Speak with courage. Your voice matters. Your needs matter. Your dreams matter. Asking doesn't mean demanding. It means knowing you're worth enough to express your heart. You weren't created to stay silent in rooms, you were meant to shine in. Your gift wasn't meant to stay hidden under fear. So today, take Maya's hand and walk forward in truth. Do your best, and when you grow, do better. Love in a way that frees, not controls. And ask unapologetically for what your soul needs. Because this life, it's not about surviving it in silence. It's about living it with intention. Here we are, the final lesson. And what a beautiful one it is. Maya Angelou once said, "Nothing can dim the light that shines from within. Not some things." Not only if life is going well, she said nothing, not betrayal, not heartbreak, not disappointment. Not the mistakes you've made, or the ones others made that shattered you. Not the seasons where you felt invisible, unwanted, unworthy. Nothing can put out that inner light. Because the light Maya spoke of isn't about how perfect your life looks. It's not about your status, your success, or how many people clap for you. It's about something far deeper, that quiet, sacred fire inside you. The part of you that refuses to give up. The part of you that still hopes, still loves, still tries even when life has knocked you to your knees. That's your light. And it's not given by the world. So the world can't take it away. Maya's life is living proof of that. She endured so much abuse, racism, grief, silence, and yet, she never let those things define her. She walked through fire and still emerged full of grace and power. She didn't just survive. She shined. And if her story teaches us anything, it's this. Yes, you are still a vessel of brilliance. Even if your light feels dim right now. Even if all you've got left is a flicker. Even if no one sees it. Yet it's there. And it's yours. Unshakable, unstealable, unbreakable. So let this be your reminder. Your permission, your charge. Rise, even if it's slowly. Even if you're still healing. Even if you're scared. Even if you've forgotten what your light looks like. Rise anyway. Shine. Not to be seen. Not for applause. But because that's who you are. Someone made to glow in dark places. Someone created with purpose and power. Love. Even when the world makes it hard. Even when you've been hurt. Love anyway, because love is your superpower. Be kind. Not just to others but to yourself. Speak gently to your own soul. You're doing better than you think. And most of all, walk forward. Not with fear, not with doubt, but with knowing. Knowing that you are the change. That every small act of kindness, every brave decision, every time you choose peace over bitterness, it matters. You are already part of the healing. You are already part of the rising. And if you ever forget, just return to Maya's words. Words soaked in wisdom, wrapped in fire, delivered in love, and still, you rise. Yes, you rise.